Hey there. Ready for a deep dive into something that's kind of revolutionizing e-commerce?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're talking about headless marketplace development today.
Right?
And trust me, it's a lot more interesting than it might sound at first.
It really is.
We've got a whole stack of articles here to help us break it all down.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that stood out to you when you were reading through all this stuff?
Well, I think the first thing is just how much this market is growing.
Yeah.
It's predicted to be worth over $5 billion by 2030,
Wow.
which is like a 20 to 30% growth rate every year.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, so clearly businesses are seeing something they like here.
For sure, for sure. So let's just make sure everyone listening is on the same page.
Yeah.
Before we get into the details, what exactly is headless marketplace development?
So at its core, it's about separating the front end of an online marketplace, so the
Okay.
part that customers actually see and interact with,
Yeah.
from the back end, which handles all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Gotcha.
A good way to think about it is like a restaurant.
Okay.
The dining room is your front end, the kitchen is the back end, and all those waiters running back and forth, those are the APIs that connect everything.
I like that. That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
So instead of having everything, tightly integrated together, headless development uses these APIs to create a more flexible connection, right?
Right.
So what kind of advantages does that give businesses then?
Well, the flexibility is really the biggest thing.
Okay.
It gives businesses way more control over their online presence than they'd have with a traditional setup.
Gotcha.
It's like they can tailor the entire customer experience to their exact vision
Okay.
without being limited by the constraints of a traditional platform.
So if I want to add some unique feature to my marketplace or integrate with a specific tool,
Yeah,
I'm not stuck with whatever the platform, happens to offer me.
exactly. It's like having a custom-built storefront that's designed to do exactly what you need.
Okay, so that's got to be exciting for a lot of businesses, right?
It is, yeah.
All right. So one of the articles we have here actually lays out a 5-step plan for creating a headless marketplace.
Right.
I'm ready to get into the nitty-gritty here.
Yeah.
What's the first step?
So the first and probably the most important step is choosing the right platform to build your marketplace on.
Okay. Yeah, because there are a lot of options out there, right?
There are, yeah, and it can definitely be overwhelming.
Right.
So some of the big names you'll see are WebNexus, BigCommerce, and Shopify.
Okay.
Each of those has its own, strengths and weaknesses.
I did.
WebNexus is known for being super flexible.
Okay.
Lots of customization options, so it's a great choice for businesses with really specific requirements.
So if you really want to get under the hood and tweak everything,
Yeah, exactly.
WebNex is the way to go.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, cool. What about BigCommerce then?
So BigCommerce is built for scalability.
Gotcha.
So if you're expecting really fast growth, BigCommerce has all the features and infrastructure to handle it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, what about Shopify?
Shopify.
I feel like I hear that name everywhere.
You do, yeah. And that's because it's incredibly user-friendly.
Okay.
So if you're maybe newer to e-commerce
Yeah.
and you just want a platform that's easy to set up and manage, Shopify is a great place to start.
Okay, so we've got our power user option, our growth-focused option, and our easy-to-learn option.
I like that.
So how do you know which one's right for you?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And our listeners are probably wondering that too.
Right.
It really comes down to what you need your marketplace to do,
Okay.
Do you need it to integrate with any existing systems?
Yeah.
Are there any specific functionalities that are absolutely essential?
Right.
And you have to think about your growth, Choose a platform that can handle what you need it to do now,
Okay.
but also what you're going to need it to do, a year or two down the line.
Right. You don't want to hit a wall just as things are taking off.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so once you've figured out the platform,
Yeah.
what's next?
So step 2 is all about designing the front end of your marketplace,
Okay.
which is, like we said, the face of your marketplace.
Right.
This is what your customers actually see. So it needs to be visually appealing,
Yep.
but it also needs to be easy to use.
For sure.
This is really where you start to see the benefits of going headless.
Okay.
Unlike a traditional platform, which will, often limit you to a few preset templates,
Right.
headless development gives you complete control over the look and feel of your marketplace.
So you're not bound by someone else's idea of what your store should look like?
Right.
You can really create something unique.
Yeah, and you don't even necessarily need to know how to code to do it.
Okay.
Platforms like Webnex, for example,
Yeah.
offer these really customizable templates.
Gotcha.
They can kind of give you a head start.
Okay, so even if you're not super tech savvy,
Yeah.
you can still make something that looks great.
Right.
But let's be honest, all this customization stuff can sound pretty intimidating if you're, not a developer.
It can.
So what if you're not a developer? What do you do then?
So that's a really common concern, but a lot of platforms offer tools that are pretty user-friendly, like drag and drop interfaces
Gotcha.
and pre-built components
Okay.
that make it so you don't really need to know a lot of code to do it.
Right.
And if you do need more complex features,
Yeah.
there are tons of talented developers out there who specialize in headless commerce.
Okay, so you can always outsource if you need to.
Exactly.
So it's not like all or nothing.
Right.
You can kind of pick and choose how much you want to do yourself based on your comfort level.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so we've picked a platform. We've designed this amazing front end.
Yeah.
What's the next step in building this headless marketplace?
Okay, so now we need to connect that front end to the back end,
Right.
which is like the brains of the whole operation.
Yeah.
So we're talking about things like inventory management, order processing, payments, all those critical functions
Okay.
that you need to keep the marketplace running.
So it's like we've built this beautiful house, and now we're wiring it up,
Exactly.
making sure the electricity works and everything.
Yeah, and the good news is that APIs make this integration process way smoother than traditional methods.
Okay, yeah, you've mentioned APIs a couple of times now.
Right.
And I think it would be helpful to kind of clarify for our listeners exactly what that means.
Okay.
So how would you explain APIs to someone who, maybe isn't a tech expert but understands, the basics of how websites work?
So think of APIs as messengers that let different software systems talk to each other. Okay. So in this case, the API is the messenger that lets your front end communicate with your back end.
Okay.
So that all the orders get processed, the
Yes.
inventory gets updated, and everything flows smoothly.
So basically, even if I'm not a tech expert,
Yeah.
I should be able to, get these systems talking to each other without too much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the platforms are really designed to make it as easy as possible.
Okay.
But it's still a good idea to, to maybe consult with a developer who has experience with these kinds of integrations.
Right.
Just to make sure everything is secure and running smoothly.
Yeah, you definitely don't want any hiccups when people are trying to buy something.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got the front end and the back end working together seamlessly.
Okay.
What happens next?
Now comes the really fun part.
Okay.
Adding all the features and functionality that'll make your marketplace really stand out.
Yeah.
So we're talking about things like personalized product recommendations, social media integration, advanced search options, really anything that can enhance the customer experience.
So this is where you get to really create something unique and engaging, right?
Right.
Something that reflects your brand and really sets you apart from everyone else.
Exactly. And with headless development, you're not limited by the capabilities of a traditional platform.
Okay.
You can really integrate just about any feature or functionality that you can think of.
Okay, I can see why people are excited about all this.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away with all these, creative possibilities,
Right.
What about the more practical side of actually launching this thing?
So that brings us to the fifth and final step,
Yeah.
which is testing and launching your marketplace.
Yeah, okay.
You really want to make sure everything's working the way it should
Yeah, of course.
before you open it up to customers.
Right, because nobody wants to deal with glitches and bugs and all that.
Exactly.
So what does testing involve?
Basically, you just need to be really thorough.
Okay.
You need to test it on different devices,
Yeah.
different browsers, different operating systems,
Okay.
just to make sure it's that it's reliable and looks good for everyone,
Gotcha.
and iron out any kinks that might be there.
Okay, so like a rigorous quality control check
Yeah.
before you make it public.
Exactly.
Okay, so once you've done all that due diligence and everything is running smoothly,
Yeah.
it's time to launch.
Right.
Spread the word and welcome people to your new marketplace.
Yeah.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense.
Good.
But before we move on,
Okay.
I want to kind of like zoom out a little bit
Okay.
and talk about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Why are we even talking about headless development?
Right.
Like, what are the key benefits that are driving all this excitement?
So I think the biggest one is the freedom to customize your marketplace.
Okay.
We've talked about that a lot, but it's really important. Headless development really frees you from all the limitations of traditional platforms.
Gotcha.
You can choose the tools, you can choose the integrations, you can really make it your own.
So it's really about control.
It is, yeah.
You're in control of creating a marketplace that reflects your brand and your values.
Yeah, and that doesn't just benefit the business owner.
Okay.
It also means a more personalized and engaging experience for the customers.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. And I know there are more benefits, right?
There are, yeah.
What else should our listeners know about?
Another big one is a faster website performance.
Okay. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, nobody likes a slow website.
No, especially these days.
Especially these days, yeah.
Everyone's used to, things loading instantly.
Exactly.
I know I'm the first to hit the back button if a page doesn't load in, like 2 seconds.
Exactly.
So how does Headless help with that?
So by separating the front and back ends,
Yeah.
headless architecture can really speed up those load times significantly.
Okay.
And that means happier customers,
Yeah.
less frustration, and even better search engine rankings.
Oh, wow. So it's a win-win-win.
It really is, yeah.
Okay, cool. So we've got speed, we've got customization.
Yeah.
What else is there?
So another one is scalability.
Okay.
If you're thinking big,
Yeah.
if you're aiming for growth,
Right.
headless marketplaces are really built for that.
Okay.
Whether you're adding new products, integrating new systems, or expanding into new markets, this architecture can really make scaling your operation a lot easier.
So you don't have to completely rebuild everything as your business grows.
Oh, don't. Wait.
Headless kind of gives you that room to grow.
It does, yeah. And another benefit along those lines is that you can add new features and functionalities really quickly.
Oh, okay.
Which is, it's really important in today's world.
Yeah.
Things move so fast.
Yeah, for sure.
Headless development lets you stay ahead of the curve. You can adapt to new trends as they come up. You can constantly be evolving your marketplace.
So if there's some, hot new feature that everyone's talking about,
Yeah.
you don't have to wait for your platform to, catch up or anything.
Sure,
You would just
exactly.
implement it.
You can, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. And what about integrating with other tools and systems?
So, yeah, that's another big benefit.
Okay.
Headless marketplaces are, they're really good at playing well with others.
Okay.
Whether it's your CRM, your marketing automation platform, your payment gateway, whatever it is.
Right.
You can usually integrate it pretty seamlessly with a headless marketplace.
Okay, so it's instead of having all these different systems that are all kind of siloed,
Yeah.
you can actually create this streamlined workflow
You can, yeah.
where everything is talking to each other.
Exactly.
Okay. That definitely makes things easier.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm pretty much convinced that headless development has a lot to offer businesses.
Good.
But I am curious about some real world examples.
Oh, wait.
Are there any businesses out there that are using this approach and actually seeing results?
Yeah, absolutely. A good example is 𝐲𝐻𝐿.
Okay.
The company that makes those self-cleaning water bottles.
Right. Yeah, I've seen those.
They used headless commerce to launch their online store in just 2 months.
Wow, that's incredibly fast.
It is, yeah.
And what kind of results did they see?
So they saw 400% revenue growth in their first year.
Wow.
And their conversion rates increased by 80% in just 3 months.
Okay, those are some pretty impressive numbers.
Yeah.
Clearly, going headless played a big part in that success.
It did, yeah. And it wasn't just about the initial launch either.
Okay.
Headless commerce also made it easier for them to expand internationally. The flexibility of the platform let them adapt to new markets and reach a global audience.
So it really gave them a competitive advantage.
It did, yeah.
Okay, cool. So their story is a great example of how powerful this approach can be.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of curious about the future.
Yep.
What trends and predictions are shaping the future of headless development?
So one trend that's pretty clear is that it's being adopted more and more across industries.
Okay.
It's not this niche concept anymore.
Gotcha.
It's becoming mainstream.
Okay.
And that's being driven by a few things, including the growing demand for personalized customer experiences.
Yeah, personalization is huge these days.
It is, yeah.
Customers want to feel like they're interacting with a brand that gets them.
Right.
not just some generic online store.
Exactly. And headless commerce gives you that flexibility to really tailor those experiences and make customers feel valued.
So we'll probably be seeing a lot more, headless marketplaces that really prioritize personalization and really go the extra mile to create that unique journey for each customer.
Right, exactly.
Okay, cool. What other trends are we seeing?
So another one is the emergence of new platforms and tools that are specifically built for headless commerce.
Okay.
The whole ecosystem is evolving to support this, this demand for customized experiences.
It's like a whole new industry is springing up around this technology.
It really is, yeah.
That's amazing. What else? What else is there?
Another exciting development is that we're starting to see headless commerce being integrated with some emerging technologies.
Okay, like what?
Like virtual reality and augmented reality.
Oh, wow. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
I can definitely see how those could create some really immersive shopping experiences.
Yeah. I mean, imagine being able to like virtually try on clothes or walk through a 3D showroom.
Yeah, from your own home.
Right, exactly.
That's the future right there.
It is, yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so as online shopping just keeps growing and growing, speed and performance are just going to keep becoming more and more important, right?
They are, yeah, because customers expect things to happen instantly.
Right. Nobody wants to wait.
Exactly.
So we can probably expect to see more headless marketplaces that are really focused on optimizing performance and making the whole shopping experience as smooth and frictionless as possible.
Exactly.
And especially with mobile shopping becoming so popular.
Right, because people are shopping on their phones more than ever.
Right. So it's all about meeting the customer where they are.
It is, yeah.
And providing that seamless experience no matter what device they're using.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So what else?
So one more trend that's worth mentioning is the shift towards headless CMS.
Okay, now that one's a little more technical.
It is, yeah.
Can you break down what headless CMS actually means?
So imagine being able to manage all your content, your product descriptions, your blog posts, your images, all of that.
Okay.
All in one central location.
Yeah.
And then being able to seamlessly deliver that content to any channel you want.
Okay.
Your website, your mobile app, your social media, even in-store displays.
Wow.
That's the power of a headless CMS.
It's like a universal content translator or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because it makes sure that your message is consistent
and
engaging no matter where it's being consumed.
And that's crucial these days, right?
It is, yeah, because there are just so many channels. It's really hard to manage everything.
Yeah.
So a headless CMS can really help with that.
Okay, so it basically just makes the whole content workflow more streamlined and more efficient.
It does, yeah.
And it's especially good for businesses that are trying to create that that omni-channel experience.
That's right, exactly.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how all this, how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
How headless CMS fits into this whole headless marketplace ecosystem.
It's definitely a key part of it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, this is all super fascinating.
Yeah.
But I know some of our listeners are probably like, okay, that's great.
Right.
But how do I actually do this?
Exactly.
How do I actually implement a headless marketplace?
So that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something we'll dive deeper into a little bit later.
Okay.
But just to give you a quick overview.
Yeah, let's give our listeners a roadmap to follow.
Yeah. So the first step is to really define your business goals.
Okay.
And what your requirements are.
Gotcha.
Figure out what you actually want to achieve with this.
Right.
And what features are absolutely essential.
Right.
It's like creating a blueprint for your ideal digital storefront.
I like that.
Yeah.
So start with the why and the what.
Exactly.
And then
what. And then you can start evaluating different platforms and solutions.
Okay.
We talked about a few earlier.
Yeah, right.
And it's really important to choose one that aligns with your needs,
okay,
your technical capabilities, and also your budget.
Yeah, it's got to be the right fit.
It does, yeah.
Okay, so once you've chosen the platform, you need to assemble your team.
You do. Okay.
Your developers, your designers, content strategists, everyone.
Right. It takes a village.
It does, yeah.
And once you have that team, you can start planning and designing the front end.
Okay.
So this is where you really map out that customer journey.
Right.
And figure out how to create an engaging experience.
Okay, so we've got the planning stage covered.
Yeah.
What comes next?
After that, you're going to need to build out all the back-end integrations.
Right.
So connecting your marketplace to all the other systems that you use.
Right. Yeah, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, right. So this is where a good understanding of APIs is really important.
So this is where things start to get a little bit more technical.
It does, yeah, it does require some technical expertise.
Okay.
The good news is that most of these platforms are designed to make it as painless as possible.
Okay.
They'll often provide pre-built connectors.
Gotcha.
And documentation and things like that.
Okay, so it's not quite as scary as it sounds.
It's not, no.
Okay, good. All right, so we've got the platform, we've got the team, we've got the front end design, we've got the integrations.
Yeah.
What's the last piece of the puzzle?
Content.
Content, right?
You're going to need to think about what kind of content you need to create.
Okay.
How you're going to manage it, how you're going to deliver it across all your different channels.
Right.
This is where that headless CMS can really come in handy.
Right. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
So it's all about creating content that engages your audience,
right,
and really tells your brand's story.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So once you have all these pieces in place,
yeah,
the final step is testing.
Testing, yes.
Got to make sure everything is working perfectly before you launch it out into the world.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key things that businesses should be testing?
Pretty much everything.
Okay.
Your checkout process, your payment processing, your shipping system, your user interface.
Okay.
Make sure it all works on on different devices and different browsers.
Gotcha.
Basically just simulate real-world usage as much as you can.
Right.
And make sure everything's running smoothly.
So it's like putting your marketplace through like a boot camp.
It is, yeah.
Before you send it off to war.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to get real users involved.
Oh, okay.
Get feedback from potential customers.
Yeah.
See how they interact with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Their insights can be really valuable.
Okay, so we've tested everything. We've ironed out all the kinks.
Yeah.
We're confident that our headless marketplace is ready to go.
Okay.
That's next.
Then it's time to launch.
Okay.
Get the word out there, start marketing it.
Yeah.
Welcome people to your to your new online business.
Okay, that's got to be an exciting moment, right?
It is, yeah.
All that hard work is paid off and you're finally ready to share it with the world.
Exactly.
But before we get too caught up in all that excitement,
yeah,
I think it's important to talk about the ongoing work that goes into maintaining a successful headless marketplace.
Yeah, because launching is really just the beginning.
Okay.
A headless marketplace is not a set it and forget it solution.
Yeah.
It requires ongoing monitoring, testing, and optimization.
Yep.
Just to make sure you're constantly providing the best experience for your customers.
So you're always iterating.
You are, yeah.
Always improving,
Yeah.
always looking for ways to make things better.
Exactly.
Okay. And that's where, the flexibility of headless commerce really comes in handy, right?
It does, yeah, because you can easily make changes and updates without having to disrupt your whole system.
So you're not stuck with this rigid platform that's
Right.
hard to update or modify.
Right, you have that freedom to adapt as needed.
So you can keep up with, the changing needs of your business.
You can, yeah.
Okay, cool. So it's all about being agile and adaptable.
It is, yeah.
You can't just, rest on your laurels.
You can't, no.
You got to keep moving.
You got to keep moving, yeah.
And headless commerce kind of gives you the tools to do that.
It does, yeah. Welcome back to our deep dive into headless marketplace development.
Okay, so before the break, we were talking about all the steps involved in actually implementing this thing.
Right. And I think it's worth spending a little bit more time on one of those steps in particular.
Okay.
Choosing the right platform.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one.
It's a crucial decision,
It is.
It's like you're laying the foundation for your entire online business.
Right.
You want to make sure you're building on solid ground.
Exactly.
So what are some of the things that businesses should be thinking about when they're looking at all these different platforms and trying to decide which one's right for them?
So one of the first things to consider is how much customization each platform offers.
Okay.
Some platforms, like 𝐸𝐸, for example,
Yeah.
they're known for being super flexible.
Yeah.
It can pretty much build anything you can imagine.
So if our listener is, a real techie,
Yeah.
who wants to get under the hood and tweak every little setting?
Right. Exactly.
A platform like 𝐸𝐸 might be a good fit.
It might be. Yeah. But for other people.
That level of customization might be a little overwhelming.
Right.
If you're looking for something that's more user-friendly,
Yeah.
something that's maybe a little bit more pre-configured,
Okay.
Shopify might be a better option.
Okay. So it really just depends on how comfortable you are with the technology and how much, how much control you want to have over the technical side of things.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. What other factors come into play?
Another big one is scalability.
Scalability. Okay.
How easily can the platform handle growth?
Yeah.
If you're, if you're expecting a lot of traffic,
Right.
or you're planning to expand into new markets,
Yeah.
you want to choose a platform that can grow with you.
That makes sense.
A platform like 𝐵igCommerce is known for being really good at handling high volumes of transactions.
Okay, so if you're thinking big, if you're aiming for rapid growth,
right,
you definitely want to make sure that scalability is a priority when you're choosing a platform.
Absolutely. You don't want to you don't want to hit a ceiling just when things are starting to take off.
Right. Right.
And then another thing to think about is the ecosystem of integrations and support.
Okay. Yeah, it's not just about the platform itself, right? It's about everything that surrounds it.
Exactly.
So what should businesses be looking for in terms of integrations?
You want to make sure the platform can integrate with with all your existing tools.
Okay.
Like your CRM, your marketing automation platform, your payment gateway, all those things.
Make sure everything can talk to each other.
Exactly. Yeah, because seamless integration is really important.
Right.
For streamlining your operation and just making everything more efficient.
Yeah, nobody wants to be like manually transferring data from one system to another.
Nobody. No.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And what about support?
So support is huge. Does the platform have a good customer support team?
Oh, okay.
Is there a strong community of users and developers who can, who can help if you run into problems?
Right.
These things can make a really big difference, especially if you're, if you're new to this whole headless world.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, so I think we've covered the platform decision pretty thoroughly.
Okay.
So once you've chosen your platform, and you've assembled your dream team of developers and designers and everyone.
Right.
What's the next big challenge you're going to face?
I think one of the biggest challenges and one of the most exciting opportunities is designing the front end.
Oh.
This is where you get to really create that unique customer experience that we were talking about.
Yeah, it's like you're an architect.
Yeah.
Designing the perfect digital storefront.
Right.
So where do you even begin with something like that?
I think it starts with understanding your target audience.
Yeah.
Who are your ideal customers?
Yeah.
What do they need?
Right.
What do they want?
You're not just designing for yourself.
You're not, no.
You're designing for the people who are actually going to be using this thing.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so once you have a good understanding of your target audience, then what?
Then you can start thinking about the user journey.
Okay.
How do you want people to interact with your marketplace?
Okay.
What steps do they need to take to find the products they're looking for?
Right.
Add them to their cart and complete the purchase.
Yeah, you want to make that whole process as smooth as possible.
You do, yeah.
You don't want people getting frustrated and abandoning their cart.
Right.
Because they can't figure out how to check out.
Exactly. And this is another area where going headless can really give you an advantage.
Yeah.
You have that flexibility to create a user interface that's really tailored to your audience and to the products that you're selling.
So you're not limited by templates or anything like that.
No.
You can really create something that's custom.
Right.
And that reflects your brand.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Okay, and you can use different tools and technologies to do that, right? You can, code it from scratch if you want, or you can use, a more visual drag and drop interface.
Right, exactly.
So there are options for different levels of technical expertise.
There are, yeah, and there are tons of, resources out there that can help you.
Okay.
Online tutorials, documentation,
right,
communities of developers who are always willing to share their knowledge.
Okay, so it's like you have this whole support system to kind of guide you through the process.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got the platform, we've got the team, we've got the front-end design.
Okay.
What's next?
So now it's time to build out those back-end integrations.
Okay.
Which is, like we said, a really critical part of the whole thing.
Right. This is where we wire up the electricity. Everything is connected.
Yeah. So what are some of the integrations that businesses should be prioritizing?
So I think the most important ones are usually your CRM, your inventory management system, and your payment gateway.
Right. Because those are the systems that handle, all your customer data.
Yeah.
They track your inventory, they process the transactions.
So without those integrations, your marketplace wouldn't really be very functional.
It wouldn't, no.
You'd have this like beautiful storefront,
Right.
but you wouldn't be able to like actually sell anything.
You wouldn't, no.
Okay, and this is where, having a good understanding of APIs comes in handy, right?
It is, yeah.
Because APIs are what allow all these different systems to talk to each other.
They are, yeah.
So you need to make sure that your platform has, robust API capabilities.
Right.
And that your developers know how to work with them. So this is definitely a job for a skilled developer.
It is, yeah. But the good news is that most headless platforms are designed to make this process as easy as possible.
Okay.
They'll often provide pre-built connectors
Yeah.
and documentation and things like that to help you get up and running quickly.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
It makes it a little less intimidating.
It does, yeah.
All right, so we've got the integrations all sorted out.
Yeah.
What's next on our to-do list?
So now it's time to start thinking about content.
Content, okay.
What kind of content do you need to create?
Yeah.
How are you going to manage it?
Right.
How are you going to deliver it across all your different channels?
Right.
This is where headless CMS can be really helpful.
Right. Yeah, you were talking about headless CMS earlier.
Yeah.
Can you just remind our listeners what that is and why it's important?
Sure. So a headless CMS is basically a content management system.
Okay.
That's separated from the presentation layer.
Okay.
So what that means is you can manage all your content in one central location.
Okay.
And then deliver that content to any channel you want.
Okay.
Your website, your mobile app, social media, even in-store displays.
Wow. So it's like having a universal translator for your content.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's amazing.
It's really powerful because it means you only have to create your content once.
Okay.
And then it automatically adapts to all the different, the different formats and devices.
So it's super efficient.
It is, yeah, and it gives you a lot of flexibility.
Right.
You're not tied to a specific website structure or platform.
Right.
You can really use your content wherever you want.
Okay, so a headless CMS is all about, creating this really streamlined and efficient content workflow.
Yeah.
And it's especially useful for businesses that are trying to create that that omni-channel experience.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And there are a lot of different headless CMS options out there, right?
There are, yeah. Some popular ones are Contentful, Strappy, and Prismic.
Okay, so there's something for everyone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so once you have your headless CMS set up,
yeah,
you can start creating and managing all that content.
Right.
All right, cool. So we've got the platform, we've got the team, we've got the front-end design, we've got the integrations, we've got the content.
Yeah.
We're getting close here.
We are, yeah.
What's the final step before launch?
Testing.
Testing, okay.
I can't emphasize this enough.
Yeah.
You really need to test everything thoroughly.
Okay.
Before you launch your marketplace.
Right.
From the user experience to the back-end integrations.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't want any nasty surprises on launch day.
No, you don't.
So what are some of the key things that businesses should be testing?
Everything, really.
Okay.
Your checkout process, your payment processing, your shipping system, the user interface.
Sure.
Make sure it works on different devices, different browsers.
Yeah.
Just try to simulate real-world usage as much as you can.
Right.
Make sure it's all running smoothly.
Like putting your marketplace through a boot camp
Exactly.
before you send it off to war.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get real users involved.
Oh, okay.
Get feedback from potential customers.
Okay.
See how they interact with it.
Yeah. Get that real world feedback.
Exactly. It can be really valuable.
Okay, so we've tested everything.
Yeah.
We've ironed out all the wrinkles.
Okay.
Feeling good about our marketplace.
Good.
What's next?
then it's time to launch.
Launch it.
Yeah. Get the word out.
Yeah.
Start marketing.
Oh.
And welcome customers to your new business.
Oh, okay. This is the exciting part.
It is, yeah.
All that hard work has paid off.
Yeah.
You're finally ready to share your creation with the world.
Exactly.
But before we get too caught up in the launch day excitement, I think it's important to talk about the ongoing work that's involved in actually maintaining a successful marketplace.
Yeah, because launching is just the beginning.
Okay.
A headless marketplace is not a it's not a set it and forget it solution.
Right.
It requires ongoing work.
Okay.
Ongoing monitoring, testing, and optimization.
Okay, so you're always iterating.
You are
Always looking for ways to improve things.
Exactly.
And that's one of the great things about headless commerce, right?
It is, yeah.
It gives you that flexibility to make changes and updates without having to tear down the whole thing and start over. You're not stuck with this rigid platform that's difficult to change.
Right. You can adapt as needed.
So you can keep up with, the changing needs of your business.
You can, yeah.
Okay, so it's all about being agile. Yeah. Being adaptable.
Yeah.
You can't just rest on your laurels.
You can't, no.
You got to keep moving.
You got to keep moving, yeah.
All right, cool. I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have, yeah.
We've talked about the challenges and opportunities of designing the front end. Yeah. The importance of those back end integrations, the power of a headless CMS. Yeah. And the need for ongoing optimization. All right. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up this part of our deep dive?
I think it's just important to reiterate that headless commerce is a really powerful tool.
Okay.
But it's not a magic bullet.
Right.
It's not going to, solve all your problems overnight.
Yeah, you still got to put in the work.
You do, yeah.
It's like anything else.
It is, yeah.
You need a good strategy. You need a good team.
Right.
And you need to be willing to adapt and learn as you go.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about.
Yeah, I think so.
We've gone pretty deep into, the practicalities of building and maintaining a headless marketplace. Yeah. From choosing the platform to designing the front end to integrating with other systems. Right. And we've talked about some of the key benefits. Yeah. The flexibility, the scalability, the ability to create those unique customer experiences. Right. So I'm feeling pretty inspired. I hope our listeners are too.
Me too.
We're gonna take another quick break.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere.
Right.
When we come back, we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts and some practical advice on how to get started with all this. So welcome back to our deep dive on headless marketplace development.
All right. So we've covered a lot of ground so far.
We've really gone deep into the ins and outs of this whole thing. Yeah. And it's been really exciting to see how businesses are using this technology.
That is, yeah.
To create these really innovative online experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely changing the game for e-commerce.
So as we wrap things up here, I think it's important to give our listeners some actionable takeaways, right?
Right. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of concepts.
Right.
But now let's translate that into practical advice.
Yeah, exactly. What are some things that businesses can actually do to get started with this?
Well, I think the best advice is to start small.
Okay.
Don't feel like you need to completely overhaul your entire website or anything like that.
Right. So dip your toes in the water before you jump in head first.
Exactly.
Okay.
Maybe just experiment with headless commerce for a specific project. Yeah. Right. Like launching a new product line or creating a landing page for a marketing campaign or something. Okay. That way you can kind of, get your feet wet. Right. Without taking on too much risk.
Right. So you can kind of test it out and see if it's a good fit for you before you commit to anything major.
Exactly.
What else should businesses be thinking about as they're getting started with this?
So one thing that's really important is to invest in the right talent.
Okay.
We talked about how headless commerce requires a pretty specific skill set. Yeah. So you're going to need developers who are comfortable working with APIs and front-end frameworks. Okay. And you're going to need designers who understand how to create those really intuitive and engaging user experiences.
So having a strong team is is really essential for success here.
It is, yeah, absolutely. So don't underestimate the importance of finding the right people.
And what if a business doesn't have those skills in-house?
So there are a lot of agencies and consultants out there who specialize in this kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So don't be afraid to seek outside help.
Okay. It's like having a guide to help you through the jungle.
Exactly.
All right. So what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember from all this?
I think the most important thing to remember is that headless commerce is not just about technology.
Okay.
It's about a mindset.
Okay.
It's about embracing flexibility, innovation, and a really customer-centric approach to e-commerce.
So it's about, breaking free from the limitations of the past.
Right.
And creating something new and exciting.
Exactly. And if you're willing to, to embrace that mindset and put in the work, headless commerce can really unlock some incredible opportunities for your business.
Well, this has been a fascinating conversation.
Yeah, it has.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope you found this deep dive into headless marketplace development informative and inspiring.
Yeah.
Remember, the future of e-commerce is all about creating these amazing customer experiences, and headless commerce is a really powerful tool.
It is.
That can help you do that.
Absolutely.
So go out there.
Yeah.
Explore the possibilities and build something great.
Build something great.
Thanks for joining us.